Harnessing Your Wealth isn't your average money podcast, hosted by Billy Peterson, a former jockey turned financial advisor. It's about more than dollars and cents. Each episode dives into the stories, struggles, and successes that define what real wealth looks like. From bold entrepreneurs to everyday dreamers who've learned that true success isn't just earned, it's lived. Because life, like wealth, it's all about how you ride it.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Billy, Harnessing Your Wealth. Wanted to take a minute to introduce our guest, Jason Olmstead. We're going back to the horse racing theme now. So we've had several guests here that have kind of veered off of that. And we've talked a lot about different issues related to health and the mind-body issues and just basic stuff around financial matters. And, you know, a lot of our guests, going back to where I came from, and the whole deal about horse racing, they love the guests that we have that have influence in horse racing. And so the guest we have today will be a big hit, Jason Olmstead. And just real quick with Jason, he's really becoming a household name in quarter horse racing. He is year in, year out, one of the top trainers. And he was ranked first in wins in 2023. He's three-time reigning champion trainer. He's won nearly 900 races according to our stats. Now, I relied on Kate for this, so if anything's inaccurate there, Jason, it's his fault, not mine. But I know that you've trained some really good horses, and you know every year you seem to have a barn that's just flush with top 2-year-olds. So thanks for being on the show, number one. I appreciate you being here.
Yep, you're welcome. Thank you.
And second, you know, we get a lot of data on, of course, the economy and technology and stuff here with the work that we do. And it's come to our attention that there are still two living people in the country that don't own a computer. And my dad is one, and apparently you are the other. So
that is correct.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you've held out this long, but maybe you can fill us in on that.
That might be my favorite statistic.
You love it. You just want to stay grounded and keep doing the things the old-fashioned way. And I don't
That's
blame
right. You. Yeah, makes life easier sometimes.
I don't blame you a bit. Well, let's go back to maybe years ago. Let's start with that. How and why did you want to get into training racehorses?
I grew up in it. My grandparents trained racehorses they started out rodeoing, and by the time I was probably 3 or 4, they got into racehorses. Never a very big stable at all. Trained from home, hauled in from the farm to the tracks to run, and went back home. You know, they never lived on the road. They did it all from home. Looking back at it from where we are now, it's more respectable now looking back at how they did it and what they accomplished doing it that way compared to how today's world is. But I fell in love with it from day one. Didn't want to do anything other than be a jockey, and was fortunate enough that I got to do that for quite a while until I outgrew it. And the next step was obviously just roll into training.
So did you start when you were riding? You were obviously hanging around the barns and stuff, working with your grandparents, your family, and then you obviously a lot of guys will start into that as a young age, teenager, whatever. And this is how I started too. But you started galloping horses, and then you're going to be a jockey, right? That's the next progression. Where did you ride your first races?
Eureka, Kansas was where I rode my first race. And then I stayed pretty much in Kansas, Oklahoma, Iowa, Minnesota. Those were the main places I rode.
So were you competing against the likes of G.R. Carter and other guys like that?
Yeah, I was pretty fortunate. When I actually left home and moved to Oklahoma, I got to run around and work horses with GR. I got to run around and work horses with Jackie Martin. I mean, I fell into some good spots, and some good people took me under their wing, and I got to see a lot of things that I always knew I was going to train horses eventually. I was big. I fought my weight all the time.
Mm.
And getting to go to some of the farms and get on some of the horses that I got to get on with those guys really lit a big fire in how I wanted to do it when we started training.
Yeah. Well, that's a big part of everybody. I mean, it's successful anyway. They see other people who've done it and want to pattern that, see it, maybe even want to improve on some of the things. Who are some of the trainers that you maybe grew up around or that influenced you in how you run things
Um,
today?
I Mark Barnes, him and Connie Barnes, they had a pretty good stable at the time when I first came to Oklahoma, gave me big chances. Great people, consider him to be my second dad. But really my grandfather, I mean, he taught me how to be a horseman more than just a jockey. And it was from the ground up. I mean, we baled hay in the summers. I mean, even when I got to where I was riding, we'd go run races during the day and go home and bale hay until it got too dark at night. I mean, there was no sitting around watching TV and all that kind of stuff. Today's world, these kids, they'd choke if they had to do what we did.
Yes, I agree, and it's more apparent every day. It seems to me, uh,
Yeah.
with the kind of thing that keep kids are growing up doing. So you kind of set a goal, and when do you think, or what horse, let's say, maybe give you your breakthrough?
When we started training, at first, while I was still riding, we ran them in my wife's name. Her maiden name was Blair, Amber Blair. And when we got together, we left home the first time with, I think we had six thoroughbreds. Her dad managed a thoroughbred farm, and the guy that owns the farm, he gave us a chance with six 2-year olds. And we had six quarter horses, and we left home, went to Canterbury, and ended up having a pretty successful year for a limited number of starters and horses. And I think when we left Canterbury and went to the Woodlands after that, I think we ended up with like 20 or 22 head by that fall. And slowly but surely it grew from there, but it never backed up.
Hmm. So what year was that when you left home for the first time with a stable?
Uh, Maybe '05.
Oh five.
Yeah.
So you've been training for a good 20 years or more.
Well, together, yes.
Yeah,
Um, I think it was in 13 is or maybe '09. '09's when I quit riding, and that's when um, we moved him into my name in 2010,
I see.
I believe. It was right in there.
Hmm.
You
So,
remember a race you're most proud of winning as a jockey?
Um, we won all the stuff in Kansas from the time I was a little kid. My grandpa won all those races, like the Kansas bred fraternities and the Kansas jackpot, stuff like that. And and then I got to win those races too as a rider, and then actually we win a few of those races even as trainers. So we've kind of full circled that deal.
hmm, Kansas has been big. Is that Kansas going to um, get back going again? I hear there's
Yeah,
talk of a new track.
yeah, I'm 26. I think Eureka is the only track left in the state, and I think next fall they are intending on having a little small meet just to get it back going again. State passed everything, money's there. It's all off of historic horse racing machines and stuff, but quite a bit of money. Looks like they're going to give away a lot, and hopefully that thing grows pretty fast where they have a real meet within 2 or 3 years.
Well, if it's anything like Wyoming, that'll be a major deal because there's a
Yeah,
lot of money to be passed around.
yeah,
You planning to have a stable there?
yeah. I will. I mean, depending on what time of year it is and stuff, I intend to. I mean, that was home. That was the first racetrack I ever went to as a kid. My son, he's to the point he's 16 now, and he's pretty close to being ready to ride himself. So, I mean, just the sentimental aspect of it, it'd be fun to go back and maybe rack up another leading trainer deal and have my kid be the one riding them.
No, that'd be fun. That's a generational deal there, right?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm always amazed at how guys develop and accumulate a lot of owners. Obviously, success breeds more success, and you start probably getting phone calls and people see what you're doing and then they want to be a part of that. So how do you manage all that, Jason, when you used to have, let's say, 12 head, and now you're, what are you, 200? I don't know where you're at.
We're yeah, we're 150 for sure. Um, we stayed around the 40 to 50 range for a long time, and here the last 4 or 5 years, really, this thing's exploded beyond what I ever thought it would. I mean, it, really, what I'm most proud of is we still train for a lot of the same people that we originally trained for that gave us our first chances. When we left home with those 12 head, two of those people are still with us.
Mm.
I think that's pretty cool. You don't see that longevity in today's world near as much. Um, a lot of the people that we train for have been with us a long time, and really our clientele hasn't grown as much as just the numbers that those people have individually. The people that went from having one or two now have four or five, and
Mm.
we have picked up a few big owners here in the last 2 years that are bigger outfits, bigger numbers, and that increased our numbers along the way.
I met your wife, you guys just here, just this last year, during this last year in the fall. And
Yeah,
I was impressed by just how down to earth both of you are. And you seem to, I would say a lot of people can sometimes let success go to their head, but I didn't see that. I didn't feel that way with you guys. I felt like two real genuine people that really want to work hard and do things the right way, respectful, care about the horses. So, with regard to your family, how important it is that to continue having your family involved in what you're doing?
very. I couldn't do this without my wife. I mean, she's my right hand man. When like summer times, we split up, and we're usually at three or four tracks in the summer. Um, she goes to Riadosa and stays, and the caliber of horses that we send to Riadosa, either me or her is going to be there. And so it works out to where our assistant goes to the northern tracks, Iowa and Canterbury, and Amber stays in Riadosa with those horses, and I go back and forth as much as I can.
So you might go days or maybe even weeks without seeing one another.
Yeah, about the time from the Riadosa fraternity trials or finals, I go back to Iowa, and that's about when we're setting up there. And I usually stay in Iowa and get everything set up, stay through that first set of fraternity trials and finals. And then after that, I pretty much, around rainbow time, I stay in Riadosa the rest of the summer too. But there's about a month spell there that, yeah, we have about a month apart. And then in the springtime, it's pretty busy. I'm back and forth from home to Remington. She stays home, and I go back and forth there, which luckily that's only a 2 hour drive, so it's not that bad, but
Hmm.
a lot of time spent in Oklahoma City.
How do you make that work in a marriage, obviously, but with your family, you're so busy, and no one really appreciates what a trainer has to go through with the amount of time on the road and spending at the barn and all the calls that you have to take. So how do you square that up with your relationship?
Sometimes I think it might help we get a little break from each other. We're more happy to see each other when we get to that way.
Uh-huh.
But no, I mean I guess it's just our lifestyle. It's how it's been from day one. I mean, because even when we first got together, there were times where I would go to a certain track and she was still working for somebody else, so we weren't together. And then once we started training and totally moved in with each other and doing our own thing, there's still times where I'd ship to ride somewhere or she'd take horses to run somewhere else. I mean, we just it's kind of how we've rolled and how it's worked. And like I said, between where it got hard fighting my weight was about the time we had our second kid also, and that was kind of a weighing factor of why I quit riding too. It got to where going in different directions and having two little kids in diapers made it way harder. So
Mm-hmm.
we just kept evolving forward, and our daughter, luckily she doesn't want anything to do with the horses. She's going to school and going to get an education. That way, maybe somebody will be able to take care of us when the time comes. Because I
Yeah.
know our son, he's a degenerate. He's in this till the bitter end. So we have no hope for him.
Yeah, we're all there. I mean, we say the same thing on a daily basis. I mean, we love people, but we must really need some psychiatric help because
Yeah.
we're still in this thing. We're going hard. It's like chasing a
Yep.
rainbow. You know, you're dreaming big, but
Oh, it's more addictive than any drug, as you well know.
it is.
Speaking
Sure
of
is.
dreaming big, Jason, what goals do you have? I mean, you've already accomplished so many things. Do you have a big race or what's on the
Um,
bucket list?
The Riadosa races. I mean, we
Yeah.
haven't, this year we won the consolation of the All American. By far the biggest win we've had in Riadosa. We've qualified to all three fraternities and stuff, but never been fortunate enough yet to be in the winner's circle. So that's definitely a big one. Um, we're probably gonna have to migrate a little bit towards California. You got a couple $1 million races in the fall out there. It'd be nice to get some of those.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's big ones. I mean, everybody's got those on their list.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're fortunate. I mean, we work hard and play hard and our horses run good for us. We've won some big ones and there is nothing wrong with winning multiple races of the same ones that you've already won. So
Mm-hmm.
my biggest fear is going backwards. Every year, this bar gets set a little higher, and it always scares me the next year might not be as good as the year that we just had.
Well, I think a little bit of fear might not be a bad thing either, because
No,
sometimes you get a little comfortable, right?
yep, that fear is what drives me.
Hmm. What about what about your success? You know, some people just look at it and they don't really know quite how it all came together. But can you summarize that in your own words? What made you successful?
A good upbringing and a foundation of horsemanship. I mean, and then just like everybody, when we caught our breaks along the way, we capitalized on them and made the most of them. And usually, every break we caught along the way, whether it be a better horse than we had the year before, or a new owner that called and wanted to give us a chance, and we capitalized on that opportunity, it just kept walking up the scale and got better and better.
Mm. Is that where a lot of maybe young trainers fall short? Is they just maybe they don't have that human connection or relationship skill?
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit I'm not a real people person. I mean, I'm pretty cut and dry. Um, there's not a lot of BS around me. I'm not here to put on a show or a salesmanship deal. I let my horses talk for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, we work hard and we will play hard and have fun within our circle. But my big deal is when we're in the public eye, running first or last, our horses are going to look the best doing it and give what they have to give, whether it's good enough on that day or not. And I think a lot of these people in today's world have either had things handed down to them or didn't really have to grind their way per se from
Mm-hmm.
a bottom up perspective, and it, I think when you grind your way from the bottom up, you appreciate where you're at more. And I think that's where the fear of not wanting to do worse tomorrow than I did today comes, because I know where we were when we had that first kid in diapers and didn't know how we were going to buy gas to get to town.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm pretty proud of what it's became.
Yeah.
Those are great stories. I mean, I think they're very inspirational. Most people appreciate the story of where it took somebody a lot of dedication and hard work and sacrifice to get where they're at versus just falling into it.
Yeah, one time I will say there was one time I had somebody tell me I was spoiled. And I told him if they want to see how spoiled we are, they can show up at our house 1st of September when babies start coming in and watch the whole process till that first race day of them, and then tell me how spoiled we are.
Mhm.
We earn every drop of it.
I'll- I'm certain of it. We had a chance to go visit your barn, my wife and I, Heather and I, and uh, I was impressed. I mean, you told us that was basically empty fields, before you,
Yep.
and you did it all basically with vision and hard work, and put some really super nice barns in place that can house. Well, I don't know how many horses you can put there, but
Got 140 stalls.
140 stalls, and you got big, nice enclosed round pen and track with starting gates. I mean, what am I leaving
Yep.
out? You have a lot of hired hands there.
Yeah. That's one thing. I mean, to run an operation of this size, you have to have great help. I mean, we have a great team, and I think what makes it work is every one of them wants to win as bad as I do. So it doesn't matter if I'm at Prairie Meadows or if I'm at Ruidosa. I know everything's getting done our way on the other end, and those guys get rewarded for winning just like we do, and it makes a good team.
Hmm.
You
Do you?
mentioned catching some breaks along the way. What about mistakes? You ever make a big mistake that you had to learn from? And
Every day. Uh,
He's
public,
honest.
publicly, I will say He's Relentless was probably if I could have the All American back with He's Relentless, that horse should have won the All American.
Really.
Ain't a doubt in my mind. He was the best. Well, I mean, it's proven fact. At one time, he was the best 2-year-old in the country going into the All American, fastest qualifier to the All American, and he was our first qualifier, and he was the first horse we ever took and even ran in the trials. I always said I wasn't going to just take a bunch of junk out there just to say we were there. We wasn't going until we were for real, and we late paid him, and he was for real. If I could have had the 2 days leading up to the finals, if I could have had them back, he'd have got his picture taken.
Mm.
what happened those 2 days?
Just little things that we weren't aware was going to happen. I don't really want to get into it, but
Yeah.
little things I could have changed that day. That he was when you're running for inches, and I was trying to get an extra inch out of him. I had him a little too fresh. I should have knocked a little bit of edge off of him, because when we bridled him and headed out the door, that horse, I mean, our son was 3 years old when he was a 2-year-old, and he could ride him around the barn. He'd hold him in the ice tub while I was cleaning his stall. I mean, it was them two were partners,
Mm.
and that was his demeanor. Even though he was a colt and everything, I mean, he could care less. And that day when we bridled him and he drug us out of the barn, instead of walking over there with a cool, calm demeanor, I knew we were
Mm.
SOL
Mm.
before we ever rounded the corner to head to the paddock.
Dang. Yeah, and you don't know that stuff until sometimes it's too late, do you? I mean, it's just
Yeah.
sometimes it's a trial
I mean,
narrative.
just little. If I'd have went and jogged him the day before or 2 days before, instead of giving him an extra third day to freshen him, if he'd have took that deep breath and been his normal self, I don't think they could have beat him.
Hmm. You trained him his whole career.
Yeah, we bought him as a yearling. That's where I say the stepping stones fall into place. So Tom Maher was one of the first people we trained for. Still trained for him now. And when we started with Tom, I think we started with 3, and now he has 30 with us.
Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah, the year before He's Relentless, we bought a PYC horse that I think we gave 15,000 for him, and at the time I was like, "Holy crap! How are we ever going to make a profit on a horse that cost 15,000?" And that horse went on and made 200,000, and he paid for He's Relentless, and He's Relentless cost, I think we gave 63,000 for him as a yearling, and then I was really like, this is nuts. And in today's world, 63,000, that's about where you start bidding on these
Yeah.
things at.
Yeah.
But that horse, we get out knotted on a dirty head bob in the Heritage Fraternity. He runs second. We turned down a pile of money for him at that time, and we got to Ruidosa, and 2 days after being in Ruidosa, Mr. Hubbard came and looked at him, and within 48 hours, they bought half of him, of me being on the property. I mean, it was a whirlwind deal, and being your first time at that level around those kind of people, it was very educational.
Oh, bet exciting as well. And
Oh
It's a
yeah,
dream to find a stud prospect like that.
yeah,
Most people.
yeah.
yeah, really, really powerful, impressive horse. He broke track record as a 2-year-old, didn't he? Somewhere
3-year-old.
3-year-old.
His first out, he was off a 6-month layoff, and his first out, I just ran him in an allowance race to tune him up before we went to Ruidosa, and some of them broke a track record that'd been there forever, and I don't think it'd take a freak situation, but he did it with no tailwind, no nothing, just raw scenario. He went 350 yards in like 1695,
Oh,
and most horses can't run 330 that fast.
Oh
I
my
mean, he was a
goodness!
freak.
Wow, they don't come along every day,
No,
and then trying to keep them sound. I mean, sure, the speed is one thing, but then you're always worrying about keeping them right. Everything else
that
goes along with it.
I'll say that our two biggest horses, him and Linder 16, we did take a little chip out of an ankle at the end of Relentless's 2-year-old year. It If Hubbard wouldn't have been involved, it probably wouldn't have happened because it was for cosmetic purposes, other than it never affected him.
Hmm.
But Linder 16, we ran her till she was 9 and never had a surgery one. I mean, those two horses, it was unreal how sound and professional they were.
Do you have an opinion on what makes some horses stay sound? And is it just genetics and like others are just prone to having chips?
Yes, you always have your horses that are quote unquote soft boned, if you want to call it that, because probably the fastest horse we ever had, like raw talent, was a year after Relentless. His name was Racy Casanova, and actually he went to Wyoming and stood as a stud until he passed away. But that horse, I mean, when we bought him, he weighed 1,200 pounds. And I mean, they talk about fine boned horses, coming apart and this, that, and the other. That horse is cannon bone when we bought him was as big around as my forearm. I mean, he looked like he had 2x4 posts for legs and stuff. And qualified fastest qualifier to the Heritage Fraternity as a first time starter. Well, actually, when we started breezing him, got sore. Babied him along, got him to the Heritage Trials, his first out of his life, fastest qualifier, couldn't run him back in the finals.
Oh, wow.
Heal him up, take him to Ruidosa, he runs second in his All-American trial, couldn't run back. Take him to the Texas Classic, qualifies like third fastest, couldn't run back, had to take a year off after that one. I mean, so when that horse came apart and stayed as sore as he did all the time after races, I don't believe fine boned, big boned. I think every individual's he's either gonna hold up or he's not.
Hmm.
Um, all I can say is we put a huge bottom in these things before we ever even let them get a taste of any speed.
Hmm.
I'm a big believer in 60 days of galloping 5 days a week, miles, 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 and knock on wood, we don't have a lot of shin problems and baby growing pains and stuff like that. And I think that's why our horses are still as good as they are at the end of the year as they are at the beginning because of those miles and foundation. But the faster they are, the more prone they are to having problems. I
Yeah.
mean, there's no way around it. It seems like
It's always interesting because it's the worst news an owner can get. Typically you don't want the
qualify
trainer
to
to call you.
something and call you and tell you, "Hey, sorry, we ain't gonna get to run back."
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's gut wrenching.
Something's wrong with this horse. We're going to the clinic, or hey, did x-rays and we have chip, so this
Yeah,
horse is done for a while. It's really hard news to take. So as an owner, you're always looking at what is the factor? What helps? And you mentioned a couple of things that are putting a lot of miles in them as babies. Do you think there's anything that leads up to that, even when they're babies or even before
I
they're
do.
born? Like, is it nutrition? Is it how they're raised in pastures versus stalls?
I think today a lot of these things are worth so much money that I think they're bubble wrapped too much when they're babies. These horses don't get to be a horse. From the time they wean them, it seems like they're stall ridden. And I think that's a big factor in it. Honestly, if they're out running in groups, cross pastures and going up and down little hills and all that and taking bad steps in a pasture, they're going to harden up before I get them,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's not so hard for me to change their course of life.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think that makes a lot of sense, you know.
But sickness, everything. You don't When we buy these things at sales, we don't know their back history to an extent. We don't know how they were raised or if that horse ever really got real sick when he got weaned or
Yeah.
went through a bad time somewhere in his life. I think all that adds up.
Yeah. And a lot of them, even these days, are sometimes they're operated on right when before they're even weaned, and they're
Yep.
having surgeries, and you don't really know about a lot of that stuff.
Yep, exactly.
You're buying them at the sales, but so you're sitting at like total earnings of 21 million on most of these quarter horses, but you could have probably went the thoroughbred route, maybe at one point. Why did you choose quarter horses?
Because I was riding them. That was what I grew up loving. It was so bad. My grandparents, they trained quarter horses. That's all we had until I got to where I was about 14 or 15, and they knew I was going to ride because they did not want me to ride. But when it came reality that I was going to ride, they tried to stop it so much they switched from quarter horses to thoroughbreds even. And they'd always have one or two around still, but that was the transition for them. When we got started, I liked training thoroughbreds. I liked watching the progression of thoroughbreds and how they develop and come around. Probably more so because it's more time consuming and they're a little more fragile minded, fragile bodied than the
Hmm.
quarter horses are. It's actually a trainer's game in the
Hmm.
thoroughbred world, I believe. And we had some, for our part of the country, we had some nice thoroughbreds. Um, but the love of the quarter horses, me riding quarter horses, and at the end of the day, our quarter horse stock was better than our thoroughbred stock. Um, if I'd have had one of the sheiks that was going to give us $10 million to go to Keeneland with, we'd have probably went the thoroughbred route. But
Yeah.
instead, we got the sheiks of the quarter horse side of it when
Right.
it was all said and done. So it
Well,
worked out the way it was supposed to.
that seems the way a lot of it people look back and say the stones are set or the dominoes that fell into place, whatever you want to call it, is you look back and you start saying, how did this all progress? But I will say, from my experience, having been involved in both thoroughbreds and quarter horses, the quarter horse folks, as a general rule, not all, but as a general rule, people are far more loyal and I think easier to work with from a business standpoint. In the thoroughbred world, it is pretty cutthroat in the upper echelons of that. There's, obviously there's a lot more money involved, but
Yeah,
you don't know sometimes where you stand. You wake up one day and you're fired. You're taken off a horse. You don't even know what happened. You don't even know why.
exactly.
But
Yeah, I agree.
everybody's out to get you some way.
Yeah.
Now
It
this is
is. It's like you rode. At the uppermost level, you know how it is. You were looking for those horses that if you had a cherry pick to do it, you were in a position that you got to be the cherry picker, and on the thoroughbred side of it, I think that's more so because big barns on the quarter horse side, you see more one rider rides for a big barn.
Mhm.
You have your guy. The big barns of the thoroughbred riders, they'll have 15 people in there riding 30 heads, so they're fighting over two apiece. And at the end of the day, you could win on yours today and not get him back tomorrow anyway.
Yeah,
The loyalty part of it's a number to those guys.
absolutely. Absolutely. You, a couple questions. And this is no slight on any other horse, but and you don't want to do a disservice to somebody that you've trained for. But I'm interested. Who's your favorite horse that you've ever trained?
Favorite horse.
And it
I
doesn't have
mean,
to be maybe it doesn't have to be the most high profile or the one that won the most money, but just
no, it is though. I mean, it is. He's Relentless and Lender 16. Those two horses. I mean, their personalities were
mhm,
untouchable. Them
mm,
horses, they love their people as much as we love them,
mm,
and that separates them. Because even like this year, we have a horse, Effortless Favorite, the won the Heritage and the Juvenile to the All American. I mean, he's a nice horse and stuff, but to go through the barn, he don't stand out and gravitate to you. He does now because of
mhm,
who he's become,
mhm,
but them other two horses, they were special day one,
mm.
you know, and they grew on us. It was weird because they were a family connection more than just another horse in the barn. Whether they were fast or slow, when it was all said and done, they grew on us before we ever even started them in their first out.
Hmm. Do you think that good horses equate like good race horses are smart, like they have better sense about them, and they're more willing? They is there something about that?
Those top 10% horses, they have a presence about them and they know they're special from day one. I
Hmm.
mean, I, I can't walk out there in the barn and tell you one of these babies is that one right now. I mean, if somebody tells you they know it, I'd like to have that crystal ball and I wouldn't work so hard. I'd just sell information. But when when you get to that point, and even if it's a late maturing horse that say he don't peak out until July, you know, that's this time of year when we're getting ready to speed these babies up a little bit and stuff. Everybody starts bragging and picking, and
Hmm.
oh, this is the one, this is the one. And I look for that horse that I want, that one that we're going to take his picture on Labor Day.
Yeah,
So you them special horses, they get your attention, but they may not be the fastest one today. So
yeah.
that's I like watching the overall development of that horse and how he changes and stuff, and those are the ones I like picking.
I've
And
always
they
said,
are usually the ones that take care of themselves. I mean,
yeah,
they do everything a little bit different. But when you look back at their history after they already have a statistic and they became good or whatever, when you think back at how it was the first day you saddled them or whatever, you realize that horse, he always did something a little bit different. Even though you didn't know it at the time, it was always a little bit different than the one next to him.
yeah, right. And it just becomes more and more apparent as you start matching them up and you start seeing
Yes.
their attitude, and then they start realizing, hey, I'm better than this guy. I can outrun this. Well,
Yep.
they start to relax and it starts to shine through. It doesn't come forced.
Yep.
It is the truth. Um, with regard to riders, you mentioned a couple things there, and I'm interested all the time because some people just ride anybody and they don't think it matters. But you seem to have pretty good grasp of the folks and the guys that you want to have riding in your barn. How do you get these guys? Well, I guess obviously a lot of them want to ride for his barn, such as yours, but you end up having, I don't know, 5 riders show up out there in the mornings just to gallop horses. How do you get
Yeah.
them? How do you get them to keep showing up, even if they're not your main call rider?
You said it, stock, and we pay good.
Okay.
They, yeah, no, I mean, I give everybody a chance. I tell these guys all the time because I mean, I'm not, I'm not being disrespectful, but you don't see me riding a Francisco Calderon or a Brian Candenosa
Hmm.
or some of these guys, and that's because those guys aren't here September 1st when we're saddling babies and getting on them. I
Hmm.
take care of those. I was the kid that got on them from day one and got them to the show, and then when somebody else seen how good they were, I lost that mount.
Hmm.
And so I said from day one, I'm going to take care of the people that take care of me. You know, I'm not going to let somebody in here that's going to cost an owner or cost us money or cost us a race. But if these guys, just because they don't have a household name, doesn't mean they don't deserve a shot to become a household name.
Yeah.
And we take a lot of pride in that. Uh, we got a great group. Really, I have three guys that ride for us, like first, second, third call, and they all get their spots. Ramiro Garcia, he worked his way into this deal. In Iowa and stuff, when we'd qualify multiples to fraternities and whatnot, I mean, there was probably 3 or 4 years that we'd use him, and he'd pick up the third or fourth horse. In many times he'd win the finals for us and stuff. And there's a guy who he could have done this at a lot younger age, but he had a kid right out of high school and he stayed home to raise his little girl and stuff like that. So I mean, now he's 32, 33 years old and just getting where he's a top 10, top 15 rider in the last couple of years now that he's a first call rider for us. And he does, great person, deserves every ounce of glory that he's getting right now. And I'm proud to be the one to give him that opportunity. And then the other two guys, I mean, Francisco Ramirez, that's who won the Heritage for us. That kid, he's had an ungodly amount of talent from day one. I mean, he grew up in a rider family, like third generation family of riders, and just he was one of them kids that struggled in his home life and whatnot, had some personal issues, but talent was always there. He's won some of the biggest races there are in the industry multiple times, but he'd win them today and be gone tomorrow. You wouldn't see him for 6 months, and he's changed his life around. And great guy to get up, ready to go to work. It don't matter if we take 10 or 110. He's got a smile on his face, and he appreciates where he's at now. And then Armando Aldrivez, same thing. He was a kid that was a Gallup boy, struggling to ride whatever he could ride and pick up at the draw, and came home and went to work for us. And every year I've been able to give him a little more opportunities. And this year I think he won 3 fraternities for us too. So I mean, these guys know they're going to get their shot, and once they get in and realize that I've got their back as long as they have mine, takes that pressure off of them. If we get outrun today, it ain't your fault necessarily.
Yeah.
We just got outran,
Yeah.
and they see that I'm going to go to bat for them because I'm going to put you right back on that horse next time and we're going to go win.
How often do you guys have conversations about their ride? Like, do you give them critiques after every ride, or
Boy,
just let them do their thing?
that's a good question, Kate. I like
You
that.
know, I think every competitor, it's kind of fun because even when I rode, I mean, I looked up to your Roy Brooks, Jackie Martin, G.R. Carr, the pinnacle, at that time, Larry Payne, the pinnacle of Oklahoma horse racing. And so I got thrown in with the wolves. So you either became a wolf or you went away, So, and I am very, very competitive. So, yes, these guys, I mean, we are friends at the end of the day and everything, but I'll come back and tell them, hey, I think you should have tried this or done this, but most of the time, a lot of things happen that's out of our control anyway. It is what it is in a horse race. If I didn't believe in them, I wouldn't have named them on these horses in the first place.
Yeah.
They know these horses as well as I do because they've been here from day one when we start breaking them. So we really don't, we really don't have those kind of conversations, but it's inevitable when you get done with that race, you unsaddle him, you're walking through the tunnel back to the saddle and paddock or jock's room. You're going to talk about what went good or what went bad and what we can fix to make it better next time. And then that race is over. Go get on the next one.
Yeah,
Because
there's
a lot
always
of
the next.
times I think if you jump these guys' butt and ride them too hard, at some point you take the fire out of them, and then they start worrying about not messing up next time. Instead of just don't think and go ride, they start overthinking.
Riding more timid instead of
Yes.
riding to try to win. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's so many things. And then the rules that are in place at the various
Oh God.
jurisdictions. I mean, these guys, if you're going to go to California, Jason, you're going to have to make sure your riders
Oh,
never
we
want to whip a horse.
yeah, that ain't no lie. We've been there, and I'm more worried about all the rules I got to follow, let alone them riding them.
Yeah.
It's changed a bunch. Speaking of which, and this is no secret. This is very well known in our industry, but there's a lot of folks out there pushing the envelope, trying hard to win, and in doing so, let's just say it, they're cheating in a way that is unfair to the other folks. So, how do you handle that? And as frustrating as it might be, knowing you're competing against somebody with an unfair advantage, how do you deal with that and keep going and keep your owners motivated to continue to spend the money, to pay the entry fees, all that?
That every year it scares me that these guys aren't going to reload, because it is every year. I'm going to say in the last 10 years, it's changed so much to where now people are getting tired of a certain group of people winning all the races. I mean, it ain't no secret. There's a network here that we can't outrun.
Mm.
And all I do is I get up and go to work every day, and I work twice as hard to get accomplished what they do with half as much work. Um, I'm very fortunate people keep reloading and trying again the next year, and I think it's because, I mean, the last probably 5, maybe 6 years in a row, when you get rid of those people out of that network, the quote unquote cheaters, my name's the one at the top of the list of the guys that aren't involved in that circle, and they believe in me, and I'm more than grateful for their backing and support to keep trying. And
Mhm.
it's not just me. I mean, you hear other big outfits, the same thing. I mean, all the guys that are on the outside of that deal looking in are worried about how much longer their owner is going to put up with this and keep trying the next year.
Mm-hmm. It certainly is frustrating. And we all wish there was a magic wand we could wave and have everything come crashing down for those folks. And, we keep hearing all the stories. We all hear
Yeah.
them every year. Oh, yeah, they're close. They got them busted. It's all coming down now. And
Yeah.
doesn't seem to really phase them much.
No, and it seems like you hear those stories and certain people getting caught. Just as example, say 2 or 3 of them get caught this fall. You're going to have light and life all through the winter, thinking next spring it's finally going to even out, and we're all going to have our fair chance. And that lasts about 30 days into Remington Park, and then you're back to kicking rocks.
Yeah, it becomes very apparent on those first
Yeah.
set of trials.
Yes.
um, you got the buckles there behind you. What's your most favorite? What's buckle you most proud of?
My world champion trainer buckle.
Yeah.
That's that was something that was never even, I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a dream and a far-fetched thought 20 years ago, but never thought I'd be able to have my name on that list of people with Blaine Schwanenfeld and Paul Jones and those guys that have won multiple world champions, and to be in the race for it every year is it. I'm proud of it.
Oh,
Without being egotistical, I'm proud of it.
I would be too. That's an amazing accomplishment, and especially that you're doing it with your family involved and um, everybody pulling on the same rope. You mentioned your son; he wants to be a jockey. Obviously, that's the next. That's the next step. So when are we going to see him in his first race?
Bry Remington, he's last year he gate broke all the babies. He's been galloping for about two years where he's not tied to the pony horse. He's rode since he was a little kid, but like full pledge. I mean, we don't handpick what he gets on the last 2 or 3 years. When we lead him out, he gets in the middle of them, kind of deal. Last winter, we let him gate break everything with the guys and stuff, and after one more, I think this year, gate breaking babies through this winter, he'll be ready to go to the track and gate horses, ride school and races and whatnot. He'll ride at Remington.
Good. Yeah, I met him there.
Hopefully. hopefully I can find something to hand pick for him so he can go get his picture taken, and then that'll really ruin it. We'll never get to see him again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be done. I mean,
Yeah, at Claremore's meet this past meet, he turned 16 on November 9th, and the 11th was the last day, or whatever, however that fell in. But we qualified 7 of the black gold, and he was wanting to ride one of them so bad. We did try and go in and get the stewards to approve to let him gate some horses and yada yada. Because I mean, he was I would have let him,
Yeah.
and I'm going to shelter him, but I'd have let him. I don't think he'd have hindered anything. He's more ready than I need him to be, but he's ready. But anyhow, so he turns 16, say on Friday. Saturday morning, we take him to the track so he can go gallop a few around there. They give him his license, and then Monday he went and got his driver's license. So he's got his track license before he has his driver's license.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah,
He's really ruined, isn't he?
Oh, he's a degenerate.
Well, he's going to be in a fixture in the jocks room, and I'm sure if he's got the dedication that you have, showing in the horse racing industry, he's going to be making a name for himself. So
Yeah, he
it'll be
loves
fantastic
it.
watching him go. Yeah. Well, I'm also going to send a bill to Steve and Joe Burns for advertising their
Yeah.
ranch. You wearing their hat, so I'll make sure to recover some money from them on that.
There you go.
That won't be a big problem at all. So, Jason, thanks a bunch for being on the show today. I think it was a fun conversation, and love to dive into people who've been successful in whatever field they choose to pursue. And obviously, you chose quarter horse racing. You and your family, you and your wife Amber made one heck of a decision, and you've worked hard, and it's really paid off. So, appreciate you being on. It was a great story.
Yep, thank you. We'll do it again.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Jason.
Looking forward to seeing you in the winner's circle, by the way. But make sure you give our horse a little bit extra hay and watch out for them, okay? We
Yeah.
expect nothing but the best.
Yeah, we'll do.
All right. Take care, Jason.
Okay, thank you.
Everybody out there, appreciate you joining us today. Leave us comments and make sure you follow us on the show. Until next time, take care out there, everybody.
Thank you for listening. For more information about today's show, please check out the show notes. Visit our website at www.petersonws.com or give us a call at 801-475-4002. Peterson Wealth Services is a registered investment advisor. This is a paid-for advertisement. Information presented on this program is believed to be factual and up-to-date, but we do not guarantee its accuracy, and it should not be regarded as a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. Discussions and answers to questions do not involve the rendering of a personalized investment advice, but are limited to the dissemination of general information. A professional advisor should be consulted before implementing any of the options presented. Peterson Wealth Services.